Hello everyone, Squid Does Dev here, and welcome to DevLog number 4. You'll probably will have noticed that, compared to the gap between DevLog 2 and 3, there's a bit longer of a gap between this one and DevLog number 3. There's a gap between 4 and 3. It's because, well, life just getting in the way, and, busy days, busy real life stuff, that kind of stuff. So, but progress has been good, it's been steady. And I think I finally have enough new things to warrant another video. So, well, let's get into it. So there's not as many new features, I suppose, as the last three, because most of the things I've been working on now have been quite difficult relative to the stuff that I've added previously. But stuff that I'm probably equally as proud of. So what I will do is I will show you the first feature that I'm probably the most proud of. So if I press play here, you'll notice, look over here when the ball fires, look, a green square has appeared. This pops up. Talked about that last video, that was UI and stuff, but you notice when the ball leaves the camera, this green square appears, and it appears to track the ball's X position as it leaves the view of the camera. This is what I call the ball indicator. When it goes out of view, a green square appears and it tells you where the ball is going to, well, re-enter the camera view from, and it helps you line up properly. So if I jump here, look, it goes off. And it's funny because you can get the best demonstration of it here when you're just falling down. See, even though I'm falling, I can still line myself up and hit the ball back and upwards. It's very good. I'm quite proud of this feature, and I think it helps with playing the game quite a bit. So you don't have to guess where the ball's going to come back down. You don't have to guess or draw the trajectory of the ball out in your head. So that just does it for you. So how this works is the square is actually just its own UI element, so it's not actually a game object in the scene. So what needed to happen was the camera needed to track the ball's X position, but the X position was in world space, which didn't line up because, well, the ball indicator isn't a game object. It's a UI. It is a game object, but it's just a UI game object. So it doesn't share the same coordinate plane. So what I had to do was get the camera to track the ball, but then turn the ball's coordinates into camera coordinates. And because the base canvas of the UI will always have the same dimensions as the camera, then it means the coordinates of the ball indicator and the ball converted to world space are now the same. So that means the indicator would be able to track the ball. So all I had to do, after many, many days of thinking, was convert the ball's world space coordinates into camera coordinates. And plus this, I was able to get this sort of ball indicator working. And like I said, it's very useful. It's a big quality of life upgrade. So yeah, that's that. And to be honest, that is kind of the only sort of distinctively new feature that I've managed to achieve, but a lot of other progress has been made elsewhere. A lot of it was code refactoring, for example. I've switched to a more events-based approach with Unity actions and that kind of stuff. So before for example, the camera manager has to find the instance of the ball when it's launched. So all that, checking for the ball's position, was happening in update, which is fine until you realize that it was trying to find a ball when it hadn't been instantiated yet, because it doesn't, the ball doesn't instantly spawn on play. There's a little bit of delay. So in that delay, the ball hasn't been spawned yet, but the camera would have been trying to find the ball, and of course that ends up with loads of null reference errors down there. So what I had to do was get an events manager here and put a action in the events manager called like ball launched or whatever, and then when that event, like when the ball launcher, fires that event, the event manager can, invoke the event, which means the camera manager can, detect that, oh look, the ball's launched, and then they can proceed to, find the ball, because at that point the ball will have been launched and no null reference errors will appear, which is great. So yeah, that took a while, figuring out how actions and events and delegates, for example, worked, and learning about the observer pattern and that kind of stuff. But no, it works quite well now, and that's something I'm also quite happy about. You will also see here that I now have a dedicated main menu scene. Originally, I wanted to try and get the main menu UI inside of the first level. That ended up creating a load of nasty errors because of how reloading the scenes worked. It kept tricking itself into thinking the UI hadn't loaded properly, which I just couldn't get to the bottom of. You can tell how annoying the error was by the fact that I can't even describe it properly. But yeah, I've eventually caved, just made a main menu without the player and without all the other stuff that is required to play the game and all the other level scenes. So I don't have to worry about all those other errors anymore. So yeah, that's good. And more improvements to the UI as well. So if I were to launch from main menu here, right, the preview didn't load again, so I had to cut the waiting out. But you can see here that the menu, I have a main menu here. It's once again, not much. It's purely functional. But this main menu scene has this sort of menu canvas here. I can press options, which brings up, once again, a very underwhelming options menu, but of course this will feature more stuff in the future. I can press back to go to the main menu, and then the play button here loads the next scene, and there we go. We can just play through as normal. You'll notice as well, once the ball hits the player, it despawns. I finally got around to doing that. That was pretty easy to do. It's just the player detects what collision, and then you just get rid of the collisions game object. It was pretty easy. And of course, next stage, I'll let this one hit the ground. Yep, so if I press menu here, look, back to the main menu, and then we can play again. So yeah, that was kind of the theme of the past couple weeks, I guess. Not many new features have been added, but I have managed to do a lot of bug fixing and general refactoring, code efficiency improvements, that kind of stuff. But the one new feature that I managed to add, I was quite happy about, because I managed to think of that solution without looking at any sort of assisting websites, like Stack Overflow, any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Making good progress. I'm very quickly getting to the point where I won't really need to add any more features, and then then comes the bit where I have to actually make the game look nice, and that's a whole different story. So but yeah, that's where we're at right now. I'm pretty happy with the progress that I've been making recently, and well, yeah, that's about it, and I'll see you in the next video.